Well, it's cookbook time again, and today we're going to do peanut butter cookies because they were my favorite. And I'm just going to let you peruse the whole section on cookies. And I actually have that press. I think I go back. Yeah, I have that. I don't know. Maybe it was a set. Maybe it can, and that's from my mother too. So I write out the thing because when I carry that cookbook around, it just leaves remnants all over the place. So it's a really simple recipe, except it uses shortening. And I think the next time I do it, I'm going to try just using butter and see what happens. I have to figure that out. Yeah, just, I don't know. They used a lot of shortening then. God. And I don't know why. I don't even know what shortening is. So anyway, it's a half a cup of shortening, a half a cup of peanut butter, 1 egg. I believe it's a half a cup of brown sugar, a half a cup of granulated sugar, a half a teaspoon of baking soda, baking powder, salt, and flour. I think it's 1.5 cups of flour. And basically you kind of combine the wet ingredients. You probably should combine the dry ingredients in a separate bowl, but I am super lazy. Seriously, do not like having to clean excessive things. So, although, one bowl, it probably wouldn't have done any damage, but the fact is, oh well. And they talk about sifting. Now, I see a lot of cooking shows and they use the sifter and blah, blah, blah. But, it's neither here nor there. I suppose you could do it. I probably should have done it for the brown sugar because the brown sugar lumps up. And I can't stand that. I should have crunched it, like kind of rolled them out again at cleanup time. I wanted something simple and easy because I don't spend any more time in the kitchen than I absolutely have to. If it wasn't for my husband, I probably wouldn't eat decent meals because he's the one that cooks now. Ever since, kids have grown. When I started going to school, my husband is the person who cooked mostly. I used to cook as a kid. I grew up and I was I was the oldest, and so because my aunt worked, I had, she would tell me what I was to cook, and then I'd cook it, and she had 6 kids, not including me, and dang. Plus, having to do the dishes afterwards became it's one of those aversive things. Yeah, I learned how to cook, but isn't a fun thing to have to do. Boy, that was tough going from cooking for 9 people to just cooking for 2. That was an adjustment, I have to tell you. Anyway, I digress. So here it is. I'm trying to unclump the brown sugar, and if you don't unclump them, they end up in your cookies. Yeah, I know from experience. What can I tell you? So I don't have a big fancy mixer. I did at one time when I was a young mother. My dad got me a really great bread kneading mixer, meat grinder. It was a combination thing. I don't know what it is about that time period, but they made a lot of combination appliances, which was ridiculous because if something broke on that machine, nothing else worked. So if you had a mixer or a blender and it was all together and your mixer broke, your blender was broke too. So you pretty much lost every appliance if that one appliance. I don't even remember the name of the company that made that, but it was absolutely unbelievably ridiculous. But it was a nice present at the time. I enjoyed it. And now I have a hand mixer because I don't have that one. I think this cost me $10 at the time. It probably still costs $10. Anyway, so here it is with the, no barking. No barking. Lacey. Hey, hey, hey. And she's under the blanket. I don't know what she barks at or who she thinks she hears or sees. Hang on, I need a drink. Bit of a dry mouth now because I'm stalling until we get to, here we go, we're speeding up. So everything got mixed in, half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of baking powder, baking soda, 1 egg, a half a cup of sugar, brown sugar. See, that's Lacey right there on the floor if you saw her. Just always underfoot. So I got a fork now to try to smish the brown sugar and mix it in. And just, I'm sure there's better ways of doing this, but this is what I did. And so all of our flour, mix it, mix it, mix it. And then I'm going to spoon them out. So the first thing I'm doing is going to be using 2 spoons to actually kind of roll them and put them onto the baking sheet. And in the meantime, I don't remember if I said this, but the oven should be 375 and it's going to be 8 to 10 minutes. So first I try it just like with that spoon, and then I decide I'll get regular spoons and just kind of scoop and twirl and see what happens. Sometimes people take the fork and do the crisscross. I was, just trying to avoid touching it, That's all. That's all. There it is. They kind of look a little funky at the moment, but it gets better. And it's quite a lot. I think it makes 3 dozen cookies if you do them accurately. And I think that's enough of that, don't you? Yeah, I do. Okay, so about 8 minutes later, and they come out, but they come out crumbly. And I keep forgetting that when I do those, that those are crumbly. So now I'm going to have to resort to the ones where I use my hands. Now, I waited, of course you don't see it, but the transition here, the pan was cooled. I made sure it got cooled because otherwise, either that or you use 2 baking pans. And this time I'm taking a teaspoon of cookie dough and rolling it in the palm of my hand, which it's not fun. Not something I want to do, but I did it because otherwise I would have crumbs instead of cookies. And I'll show you in the last picture the differences. I mean, the one cookie looks good. This one I probably should have done the fork crisscross where you press the fork into it and it would have been fine. They turned out delicious, even with shortening. I'll have to try it without it. But anyway, it's my grandmother's cookbook. So here's a cup of tea. This was dessert after dinner. Thanks for watching.